Okay, so I've replaced the 3.3 microfarad electrolytic and the two rectifier diodes I put in the AFC control with two 1N4148 diodes. Sorry for taking so long to update you guys, but I hadn't had a chance to work on this thing. I still have the black gaps on the screen here and here, but what I've noticed is that they go away once the TV warms up. So I'm wondering if that might be due to this horizontal output tube down there maybe being a little bit weak now. It does look very scorched up. You can see the getter is all burnt up and stuff, so might be a bad tube that starts emitting a little bit better once it warms up. I'm not completely sure on that. I might have to ask for some more opinions. Like I said last time around, I checked almost all the horizontal oscillator section. Didn't exactly check the output section, but at least we've verified almost most of that circuit. So that leads me to believe that tube might be suspect. I no longer seem to have the distortion that kind of twists the image sideways on certain images, and that might be due to the new tube, or I mean the new diodes or the new electrolytic capacitor in the video output tube. As you can see, now that the set is warming up, you can actually see the gaps are starting to fade away. This side's almost completely covered up now. This still has a little bit more to go. So I think that might be the horizontal output tube. I still have to check out the UHF tuner, and I'll do that in just a second, and I'll see what happens. So I checked the UHF tuner, and it's not picking up anything, unfortunately. There aren't that many UHF channels in my area. I think there's only two or three. Most of the time you can only see one of those. But it should be able to pick up on it with the alligator clip antenna that I clipped onto this thing. I decided to check the voltage that's feeding this UHF tuner, and it's 18 volts instead of 11 volts as it should be. And that could be throwing off the operating frequency, but I decided to take it apart anyway to check it out. And I seem to have a dead transistor in there. That's the only quote-unquote active component in the circuit. Sorry for the bad focus. I tried testing it, and there's no response from my multimeter. And right now I'm trying to take it out, but as you can see, these things are built really tight, and I can't really get at it. I'm trying to remove it. I already clipped off this resistor here, and I still can't reach it. So I'll see what I can do about that there. Okay, there's the new transistor in place. As you can see, it's no longer in its original location. It would have just been very tricky for me to solder that back where it used to be. Even if I had a finer soldering iron and finer tools, it would have just been very tricky. My guess is they put these components in before they assemble the box. You can see I added a little yellow lead so it would reach over here to its new location, and I was originally concerned that that might affect the operating frequency of the circuit, because UHF stuff is very sensitive to that sort of thing. But considering that this is basically just the input voltage line, I don't think that'll be an issue. I looked up the data sheet for the actual transistor that we found in here. As I said, it's different from what the service manual says, and from the transistor that the service manual says, my replacement transistor was a little bit different, especially concerning the working frequency. But looking up the data for the transistor that was actually in here, it turns out that this replacement transistor is actually a wonderful match for that. The only major difference is the pinout. However, that's not an issue, and I've already accommodated for that with the new installation. Let me see if we can get a better shot with my magnifying glass. I always wanted to see if we could get better macro shots using my magnifying glass, and it looks like we can. As you can see, that solder joint at the top there with that lug and that resistor came out very bulky and nasty, but that's just due to my crappy soldering iron. it's a good connection nonetheless. So next up, we'll see why the B plus source for this circuit is so high. It comes out of the VHF tuner. There's a switch in there, and I think there might be a bad resistor somewhere in there or something like that, or maybe it's high because this wasn't actually operating and it wasn't consuming any energy, and maybe that's why we were getting a high reading on that voltage. So that's one theory. I'm not completely sure yet, so we'll investigate and see what happens. Okay, I found nothing on the VHF tuner or anything like that. I just hooked up the UHF tuner back on, and it looks like we've got the voltage dead on now, which is supposed to be 10.9. Still though, you can see the image in that mirror over there. I still don't seem to be able to pick up anything. It does seem to be doing something now, but it seems to want to pick up something right about there. For some reason, once I move the tuner, it actually drops about 1 volt. I'm not sure what the deal with that is there. Okay, so next thing I decided to try was to hook up and wire up the UHF tuner from another TV up to this one. I figured they operated on the same voltage, and I was skeptical about the IF frequency, but it's the same. And as you can see, it's working on this UHF tuner quite well, actually. So I guess our problem still remains as our Sharp TV's UHF tuner. I'm not sure what the problem might be. There's not that much in there, and all the active components I tested out. I tested out the signal diode that's in there, and the transistor, I changed it out. So not sure what might be going on there. It's working beautifully with this tuner, picking up more than one station. Sorry for the focus. Here's another channel. That's about it for UHF in my area, though. Back where we started from. And yeah, so next I'll have to figure out what the deal is with our UHF tuner over there.